Good evening, everyone, and welcome. This is the 12th episode of Gamechangers Podcast. And tonight, I'm Sabi Hegymegi. I'm the host. And tonight, I have a very special guest from Sheffield United, Sally Needham. Very welcome.
Thank you, Sabi.
Thanks for accepting my and our invitation to being here with us today or tonight.
No problem at all.
Yeah, great to hear you, and really thank you being here with us. As I mentioned, my name is Sabi Hegymegi, and I am the host of today and the Game Changer podcast. This is the second international episode of this podcast, which aims to bring you guys every month, once a month, a topic and a special guest from the sports world who can share his knowledge and his experience or her experiences with us about different topics, different interesting topics that you'd not really hear maybe from the media or from the news. And that's why today we have, as I said, a very special guest from United Kingdom, from one of the oldest club of the football world, Sheffield United, Sally Needham, who is the Academy Human Development and Performance Culture lead at the club. So again, Sally, thank you for accepting my invitation and thank you for being here with us tonight.
You're welcome. No problem at all. Nice to be here.
Yeah. And we're going to talk about today, our main topic is going to be the science or the neuroscience, importance of the science and neuroscience, especially in football or in sports. Because as people may not know, but this is your expertise, and because for me this topic is really fascinating. I wanted to bring you on, and I wanted you to share your knowledge and your experiences on this topic, how you work or what kind of work you do at Sheffield United. Just a little bit more about the podcast. This episode is going to be available on SoundCloud and on YouTube on October 17th of October. So you're going to be able to hear it and listen it, hopefully, and you're going to take and gain very good knowledge and information about this interesting and fascinating topic. So any further ado, let's just jump in straight away. First of all, again, thank you, Sally, for accepting my invitation to this podcast. And as I said, after I heard your speech in Krakow, where we met at the All About Football conference, I really wanted to have this conversation with you, because this topic, I think, is really kind of new, and for me, it's really important and it's really fascinating. And I mean, I know that you obviously not a neuroscientist, as you mentioned, but you have done a lot of work with your team and study this field and use your knowledge successfully at Sheffield. So first of all, please, can you share with my audience what a human development performance culture lead actually does? Because for some people, it may sound like, okay, wow, it's quite, I don't know, maybe new or I never heard this before.
Okay, I'll try. Because as you mentioned, it is quite new. It's a title that came to fruition really because, as you mentioned, I'm not a neuroscientist and I'm not also a psychologist, but my area of work is really understanding the brain, how that's connected to the body, the nervous system, and how it impacts on your decision making, your emotions, your feelings, everything. So the title kind of came out. I was working here as a consultant before, and then our academy manager and our 23s manager went to the first team and asked if I would come full time. So the title kind of got given because of the work that we're doing. We're trying to do something a little bit different in the academy at Sheffield United. So in a way, the title's a little bit different. It's not in any other clubs. But my job role really is from pre-academy to 23s, 21s now. And I link in a little bit with the first team, with the transition players from 21s to the first team. But my role is academy. And I oversee, we have a mantra, outrun, outfight, outplay. I oversee the outfight from a behavioural perspective. And then my daily routine might be doing daily breathing with the boys, yoga, workshops, working with the players for them to understand themselves, their body and their brains, as I've mentioned. And then the performance culture bit comes around standards. So tonight I've got the 16s in doing a workshop around standards, around players leading things. We might do something a little bit different, like we took the boys on an outdoor adventure. So it's about what we're just embarking on a sleep project. So what do we kind of give the boys to understand about themselves? And then also I work with the coaches and the staff to create a culture that enables the boys to be fully immersed in it and develop. We look at language, we look at relationships, and we look at neuroscience from a relational approach. I think that's slightly differently to some other maybe clubs that are starting to look at neuroscience from more a cognitive one. We look at it from a relational approach for developing really what we call our soil that enables us then to be more fruitful and more have capacity to cope with demands of the game and life. So it's a title that is new. It's different to anywhere else, but in another way, we are trying to do things a little bit different at Sheffield United in the academy. So that's kind of why the title come about.
I see. It's really interesting to hear all the stuff. You mentioned yoga, you mentioned sleeping, you mentioned so many other stuff. So I just wondering, what obviously this is a kind of a new thing in terms of maybe to clubs and maybe in Sheffield, because as far as I remember from your speech, you mentioned that before you arrived to Sheffield United, that there was no such a thing existed within the club, right?
Yes.
And so why did you guys start to shift your kind of coaching method towards more this behavioral approach, or to try to how this whole thing works? How this improve the players you are working with?
Yeah.
So how maybe yoga, like, maybe someone's wondering who would go to yoga classes and they think like, okay, I do yoga so that I can play professional football, or vice versa. So I mean, like, how does it working?
Yeah, so when I first came in, our academy manager at the time, who was now with our first team, Jack Lester, didn't really want your traditional psychology. And my work had been mentioned to him for a few times. So I met with Jack and we kind of had a discussion around, I'm not sure if this neuroscience will work in football, but I've kind of got a hunch that it will. So we decided...
Sorry to interrupt. Was it like kind of like a woman, how do you say, these intention thing, like instincts, woman sense?
Yeah, no, not intuition, but
intuition.
I'd been looking at things in football. So I'd been doing some little bit of application when I worked at the FA, especially in the younger age groups, so 5 to 12. But wanted to see if it would work in the academy. So Jack were very open for me just to try things. But anything we do is backed up by neuroscience. So if you look at yoga, we do here for flexibility as well, but also there's a massive thing on the breathing element, nasal breathing, on how you develop your vagus nerve and strengthen that, which develops resilience. So we try to package things. We always give the boys a little bit of the why, so why we're going to try it, a little bit of the science, and then they have a feel of it and then sense it, and then some will like it and go with it and some don't. but we try just to give the boys an understanding of themselves. The more that they know themselves, they know that if they're happy, if they're sad, how they're feeling that day, what's going on in the body, why they should be feeling that way if they're injured, how do they help themselves with that. So all that side of it, we try and give them the science of positive thoughts, what happens in your chemical response system when you think positively, what happens when you do journals, when you do breathing. So it was an area that Jack, being forward thinking, didn't want your typical psychologist coming in. He wanted to look at it from a behavioural or something different. He heard about my work. We went through COVID at the FA, and it gave me a chance to leave. And then I've been here. Well, he's a consultant first, 2 days a week, and then I've been here full time since April. So yeah, so it's working. People will say to me, "How are you quantifying it with data?" We can look at the boys on videos, see emotional responses. I've got recordings from the boys saying about how they feel. So I know sometimes people want data, but if we can see it and the boys feel it, then I'm quite happy with that. That's how we know that it's working, really.
Sure. You mentioned that. I mean, you mentioned quite a few things, like you're recording it, you do the sessions, you're creating it. I mean, obviously you cannot do this on your own, right? So what kind of do you have a big team, or how many people are you working on this project or this kind of area with you?
So it's me and my department, just me. However, what we try to do it is because we get it across the whole club. So we always talk, our first team manager always talks about that every member of staff in this club should be the psychologist. So all our team gets an understanding or some knowledge around neuroscience. So they know it. So they know that they're the first psychologist because of they're the connection in the coaches. So it's just me and my team. But to be honest, I link in to the coaches, I link into MDT, and everybody has a knowledge about it and then implements it. So it's a joined up approach. There's only me in the outfight in the team, if such, but it's a joined up approach. Even, we have the people in the canteen, we talk to them about what language they say to the boys. So everybody in the education team, they understand about stress response system, how each of our players learn, what's the strategies we want to enforce in them. So everything's joined up, and I have a little influence. And people always say to me, "What's your job in Sheffield United?" And a lot of my job is just to literally sometimes give a different perspective or drop a little bit of grenade in or bit of the science in, or have we thought about this? And then people here at Sheffield United are really forward thinking, so they'll then go with it, apply it, have a little look at it. So in theory, my team is the whole academy staff and everybody that works in the academy. But in actual, if you look at it on a structure chart, there's just me and my team.
Oh, wow. So it makes me wondering that you mentioned that such a big club, it did not have this kind of thing before, but you're saying now everyone is kind of like a forward thinking in terms of trying new things. They are quite open and to try new things and try new methods, which is quite good, and I think it's really important in these terms of trying new ways and trying to improve see things from a different perspective. You also mentioned that in Krakow, in that speech, or after the speech we spoke, that many other clubs now is knocking on your doors to see, because they noticed, and the results also shows to people that something is really working within Sheffield United. Is that true, right? I mean,
yeah,
that the interest is increasingly grown since since you started this kind of work within the club, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of interest in the club.
So,
go on, Sabi.
No. Just made me wondering that people or the other clubs or leaders from other clubs or coaches from other clubs or experts from other clubs, they they don't use these methods within other clubs. That's the reason, or they just wanted to see exactly what you guys are doing differently.
No, I think a lot of clubs are interested in the work. I deliver on quite a few conferences. A lot of people want to see how the science, so the science has probably only come to fruition on neuroscience the last 12 years. So then how does the science now inform our practice? And our children are slightly different, our players are different, we understand the brain and the body different, we understand about brain development different. So what do we take in the nearest of neuroscience and apply it into football? And I think sometimes we have, in football, we repeat structures. So if you go to a famous university in England, you're probably educated by people that's come through that university. So when we start to look at what the science tells us and what kind of can we look at things a little bit differently? We can't compete with some big clubs, but we can try and be the best coach developers and develop our players, but also do things a little bit differently. So a lot of clubs are interested in the work. I think it'll take a lot. You've got to have a very forward-thinking academy manager or staff to be able to implement it. A lot of people I'll say, well, you're giving away quite a lot of your secrets. And I'll say, no, I give away the ingredients, but unless you've got a buy-in through all the academy or somebody there that really knows it, you haven't really got the recipe. Whereas here we've got ingredients and the recipe.
It's like the secret recipe, right? For
Well, and so I want to try and affect the game, and we want to try and affect the game. We also want, obviously, to get the work out there, but then there's obviously an element that it's time for change. It takes time. And I think sometimes a lot of the problems that quite a few psychologists have in the clubs is they're separated from the coaching. And I sit in the coaching team. I don't sit in the multidisciplinary team. Sure. So my background's coaching. So anything we do with the science, we try and apply it back into a practical setting or into football. And I think that's what's helped people grasp a little bit more and really wanting to look at the work. For example, like on Monday, I'm presenting on the Advanced Youth Award, which is our level 4 qualification at the FA. So I'm presenting some of the work on there to show what the science is and how you implement it. So the sciences come to fruition, like I say, it's new really, and probably what we know now will change because of the advances in technology. A lot of people are interested in it. Wenger tips it as the next big game changer. Arsene Wenger thinks neuroscience, the brain stuff is a big game changer. So we'll see where it goes, but we're in a good place here with it. So we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, I can definitely see. As far as I know, I checked the results yesterday from the first team that they unbeaten so far in the league. So
yeah, that's
I'm sure it's you did your part as well in this.
No, I don't take any credit for the first team. That my remit is very much academy. First team is first team. Jack and Paul Eckenbottom came through and very interested in the neuroscience, but they're very good at communication, the psych and social elements of the game to start with before I came into this building. So the first team's success at the minute, there's nothing that doesn't link with me at all. That's very much them, definitely that.
I see. So what is the youngest age that you're working with? So is it just from the 23 plus, or do you do from younger age?
No, I go from, so my remit is from pre-academy across, but my really contact time starts at our under 9s. So 8 years old. So under 9s. So last night, under 9s, under 10s was in with me to do a workshop. I've been with the 15s. I've been all day with the 18s and 21s. And then tonight I've just done a yoga and breathing session and visualization with our 15s and then with our 16s. And then I've got the 16s in a workshop tonight. And then tomorrow I'll be traveling. We've got Bristol away. So the 18s travel tomorrow. So I'll travel with the boys tomorrow tomorrow night we'll do a walk and a stretch and some visualization for the game. Then the following day, and I'll be with the boys on Saturday. So my remit is very much throughout.
So I'm just wondering that how these youngsters take those kind of new, probably for them is really new. I mean, like talking about visualization or breathing session or like yoga. How these guys taking those in, especially the very young ones. So how they like?
Yeah, the very young ones do it at school now in England. So the very young ones, a lot of them know about yoga, know breathing. It's part of school. It's the changing in helping support our children in mental health. So a lot of schools do breathing, yoga, mindfulness things with them, gratitude corners. So the little ones, it's easier. Our 14s and 15, or our 15s and 16s that's just done it, we took them to Germany on a football tour. They did it there. They all buy in. Every age group has a tour when they come away. So we take them on a couple of days away. We do a lot of mindfulness activities, a lot of adventure activities. It's very much around developing the human. So that's kind of my remit. Even though we're on football tours, it's very much about human development. The younger ones are brilliant. 18s are brilliant. 21s, some buy in, some are not bothered. And that's fine because I don't want to force them. But some understand the neuroscience and then want to do a bit of breathing. Some come to me when they need the breathing, I need you. And some do it religiously every day. Wow. So and the more that I can work with our younger ones coming through, like we have now the 18s, our 18s, 9 of them came through our system. They've been doing a lot of this work for the last last obviously year and a half. So that now coming into the 18s, it's just norm. They use journaling, they use gratitude. It's all normal. So we can put it into them young. It's an easier process than later on.
For sure. I mean, I was just thinking while you were talking, like, wish I could have that when I was like on 11 or 8 or in these ages, and wish we knew this kind of stuff when I was started to play football, and but there was different times, and there is no such a thing were even having in their minds, in having in people's minds. So but it's really, really good and really, really makes me feel, because I by myself, if someone don't know me, I myself, I do these things for a long time. I mean, gratitude, visualization, affirmations. I don't do yoga, but I know very well on those things, and I keep preaching about this for many years now, and trying to bring positive changes into people's and especially athletes' lives. Yeah. And yesterday I had a really good conversation with one of the, let's say, academy or pre-academy, or I know it's in England they call it different. Is how do you say? Not pre-academy, but what's that called? The foundation, right?
Yeah.
So I had a nice conversation with one of the like foundation leader from one of the club in here, Hungary, and they just started to kind of shifting their thinking about these kind of topics. So and it's really, and it was just really was something. It was really nice to hear those things, because I think this is very key in terms of any sports and in terms of general in life as well. So I really appreciate and I really admire the role that you are doing. So you're doing a very good job.
Thank you.
So in terms of, since you started with Sheffield or before this kind of, so you obviously try to implement those things to daily life of the guys. What was the biggest discovery or biggest achievement, let's say, within the work that you have done so far with Sheffield, or for yourself from throughout this kind of position, or throughout this kind of
I think for me personally, after I did the Advanced Youth Award, I wanted to know the science or the whys behind. So what is confidence? How do you develop it? Why, if you put this practice on, does it give you this? And I wanted to know the why. So I went and did a course, and that really gave me insight into attachment, brain development, child development, neuroscience. So that was a big game changer for me. Coming into Sheffield United, the biggest influence probably, there's been 3 players that I've probably worked with the most, and they're changing them and understanding themselves a lot. And just an odd text now and again for that I'd have been sent off a couple of weeks ago, or that's been, you've helped me to understand myself better. So
these kind of priceless things.
Yeah.
Right?
So I think for me, I had a big light bulb moment. But since I've come to Sheffield United, somebody once said to me, "You'll not know the impact until you've left." And I think that'll be, not saying I'm leaving, but I think when you're in it day in, day out, it just becomes norm. And then when you step away from it and then you come back into it, or you go see, or you go present and you hear other things happening from other clubs, and there's some really good practice happening in other clubs. I'm not saying there isn't. But when you come back in, you think, God, we have done a lot. We are quite in front. It's like one of the boys today was sat playing Connect 4 with one of the other boys. Like, we've got a games area, we've got a book club. We're trying to put different things in. So I think for me at the minute, the boys taking it on. I think people are shocked. I get that question all the time. How do you convince them at like 16, 17, 18? I don't need to. I think the biggest challenge for me at the minute is time. I'm on my only person is me. So the time to be doing more things, trying to develop it more, I struggle with at the minute. And also my challenge is I still go and do other little bits outside to try and influence the game. And I think somebody said to me the other day about you need more influencers, and that it's going to be a pebble approach, not to get me more out there, but for people to see to understand about the work. Because at the end of the day, neuroscience is neuroscience. Anybody can go learn it. So it's not my work. It's just then how we've applied it at Sheffield United in the academy.
I'm not really agree with this, because you need a personality for this, I guess. Not really, you can learn this, of course. This is science, but you need a kind of a different kind of approach and a different kind of way of thinking and approaching this kind of topic, I guess.
Yeah.
So? I don't think this is for everyone.
Yeah, I agree. The academy manager will always say to me, the relationships that you have with the players is second to none. The first one that they'll call if there's a problem, they come to me. Our relationship with every player, I have a good relationship with every player. But they also know that sometimes I tell them very critical, but tell them honest. They trust me. I give them kind of the ownership as well. So our academy manager will always say to me that my personality and how the boys buy into then how I present it to them is probably one of the strengths of what we've got. And I think that's what sometimes, from a sociological perspective, that's probably how we get programmed into thinking about females. So definitely you need a good social engagement system for us to be able to connect with a player. And we employed somebody perfectly for their social engagement system. They'd just come out of university. They were an intern with us. They wasn't highest qualified by any shot of the imagination, but their social engagement system to how they connect with our younger players just was phenomenal. So we gave him the job, and he's absolutely brilliant at it. If you're in every interaction you have with a player, if you're in connection with that player, it becomes an intervention. So you're basically developing their stress response system for more resilience. But you've got to have that connection.
Yeah, for sure. Well, for those of you who just joined now to the conversation, this is the 12th episode of Gamechangers Podcast, and the second international guest I have on the podcast. Her name is Sally Needham she's Sally Needham from Sheffield United. She is the Academy Human Development Performance Culture Lead. And we are talking about the importance of neuroscience in sports and especially in football, and what kind of work she has done with Sheffield United since she joined. So Sally, thank you for being here with us. Carry on with the questions that I wrote down for myself. And one thing that I really remember that I mentioned to you after the conference, that you shared with us some small nuggets that who actually paid attention for your work and what you have done, and what you said during your presentation. It became really memorable, especially for me, for sure. I don't know others, but for me, sure. It was one thing that you mentioned, that for a goalkeepers, you don't, when the shooting is on, or the game is on, you not put the balls into the net, but you put the balls next to the net, so they don't psychologically, they don't think about they taking out behind from them, right?
Yeah.
So this something was really, for me, was really remarkable. So maybe can you share some like small nuggets with us?
Yeah. Well,
similar to this?
it's everybody's their own, because some of our keepers do prefer it in the net. So it's kind of like flipping it onto, because everybody's individual. But big things for me with the neuroscience stuff is there's three things probably you get them ready for before they start training. Personal greetings, so knowing the name because it hits the care circuit in the brain, noticing things about them so they know that then you've got a sense of belonging. Arrival activities, so you're activating the play circuit, getting prime for learning, and it's helping the tempo of the session. And also arrival activities, structure boards. So structure boards is very much around telling them what's coming. So 6 o'clock, warm up, 6:15 session, 6:45 game, 7 o'clock at home. Because a lot of children will come into training and they'll go, what we're doing tonight, who we're playing at the weekend. And this is a clear indication that they're struggling with.
When you're going to play?
Yeah, probably a little bit of anxiety. So what we'll then say to them is, just concentrate on what we're doing tonight, and I'll tell you later. But they can't concentrate on what they're doing tonight because they're worrying about what's coming next. So a lot of children need structure, especially coming through COVID. A lot more need structure. So the big threes for me will be personal greetings, arrival activities, structure boards before you start. Then on it, noticing behaviours. So massive. What's your body language saying? So our threat detection comes from our eyes to our mouth. So power of a smile is massive because you're relaxing threat detection systems in other people. And then fun games that enables them to practice the game. And then always check out at the end of the session to close the learning loop, and also check out for emotional and social responses. So there's a couple of things before it. While you're in it, notice the children and be regulated yourself. Biggest thing I think I said at the conference as well was, if you have a dysregulated child and you're dysregulated an adult, you can't calm them down. So you've got to be regulated yourself to help then behaviours that happen in sessions. And always check out, because you're closing the loop. That's what we need in kind of our nervous system as well.
Sure. So you mentioned 4 key things: greetings.
Yeah.
Arrival activities.
Yeah.
Behavior check.
Yeah.
And fun games.
Yeah.
That's it, right?
Structure boards.
Structure boards, yeah.
Yeah. And a little check out at the end of the session.
Sure. And also you also mentioned that before the games they have like a list of music, then everyone's favorites can be played. And this was also remarkable for me, and I remember this as well. This was something really good, and I'm not sure that many clubs or many teams are doing this, but it can be really cool as well.
Yeah, we use a lot of the first team songs that they play at the first team matches. We have the coming out when the first team come out, their theme tune. We have what gets played. So then basically when you're playing it, it's like anything. If you have an emotional connection with a song, when it comes on, it evokes an emotional response.
Sure.
So we're trying to learn some neurological development already through the little ones. They have the music on in here and a night, and we try and use the same songs, and we use it as playlists. So then it's calming the nervous system. We're having a positive response back to the song, which we all know. We have them songs where first couple of notes and then you go, oh, this is that song, or you have an emotional response straight away.
Yeah. One of my few last questions that I have in here, that what is, you mentioned quite a few times that, and I know you mentioned in your presentation as well, and I know the club that has that outrun, outfight, and outplay.
Yeah.
Kind of like way of thinking and a way of doing things. But what does it mean for you in your daily job? Like how does it applies to your what you are doing or what you are trying to do during your daily job?
So out my area is outfight. So we have 3 areas in that: ownership, communication, and skill, which is resilience. So ownership is that they take ownership of their own behaviours and their own learning. So they're immersed in that. Communication is about verbal, non-verbal, and how they influence other people's nervous systems. And then skill is about pressure. So review pressure as a reward. So can they actually be having a really bad day, touches all over, but can they still go get on the board? Are they still out fighting at the end of the day? So them 3 things are really pushing. So understanding where they are, understanding their emotions and feelings, but still carrying on, still pushing, still working hard, still trying to get on the ball, still fighting. So that the fact that we have a control, but we use our aggression or our passion to try and influence our performance as well.
I see. Do you really need to fight with these guys, or do you really need to fight in your daily work or your daily job?
No, definitely not. Well, that's the mantra we have. We have outrun, outfight, outplay. And so it's a case of we outrun teams, we outfight teams, we outplay teams.
For sure.
Yeah.
And then obviously, because we're talking about game-changing podcasting here, and the reason I want to do this, because I want to talk to people who really are the game changer of they're really top of their game. They really achieve something remarkable, or they really have something special knowledge they can share with us or with the audience. If you think about maybe your personal life or your careers, maybe in the football or in Sheffield, what was what was so far the game changer moment, or the game changing moment that you think that okay, or you can think about that, oh, this, if I think about this, that it really turned things around and it really made, I don't know, a huge significant change in my life.
Yeah, I think the course that I went and did after that Advanced Youth Award, when I went and did a course in child development, so attachment theory, neuroscience, brain development, because for the 12 months that I was on it, maybe even longer, for one, you basically went through all your behaviours, what happens in your brain, how that plays out. So for me, it was probably 12, 18 months of therapy, which I absolutely loved, understanding myself more. Why am I like I am? How I do that? What's happened with that? And then that gave me a lot of the answers that now underpins all the work. So for me, that was a massive game changer for me personally. So doing that course and understanding about this, it really did put me into this field now. and has definitely like changed my perspective and where I wanted to be. So I think that's a big one. But I always say that I have the qualifications in the football, and people who said to me, I can't believe you have both quals and one of only a couple of females, but you don't work in the national setup. And I've always said that when I leave this earth, hopefully I will be influenced quite a lot rather than just get a World Cup medal. That means more to me. So I think for me personally, I probably don't know the effect yet.
I think you should. I think you already made quite significant.
Yeah, maybe so. But definitely for me personally, the course that I went on to definitely opened my eyes to all this stuff, and then that's been able for me to apply it. So that was definitely a game changer for me.
Just for personal interest, is that course available still to anyone, or is only available in the UK, or is it online, or
no, it was through a company called Thrive Approach. But it's not available online, and it works with practitioners that work in schools. It was just that I went on it and then tried to apply it to football. They do some free like webinars and things, and free courses and Thrive Approach. But yeah, it's you have to be working in a school in England to access the course.
Sure. I know that you do a lot of courses as well by yourself. You teaching and you sharing your knowledge, and that's how we met through a conference or a course. How do you call it? Where are you? I know you mentioned that in Monday you're going to be in.
Monday. I'm presenting at the foundation phase for the site block of the Advanced Youth Award for the FA. I'm presenting at the Training Ground Guru Conference in a few weeks. But yeah, it's more ad hoc a little bit. People tend to come and ask, and I do a little bits, but I've not got a website. I've not got anything that's like concrete and anything. I have obviously my Twitter that I post a lot of it on, but sometimes not as much lately. But yeah, the work is out there. Yeah.
No, what I wanted to ask is like where people can see you next in a conference, or like where people can hear your message, and where people can access your your story or your knowledge.
Well, on Twitter, you can follow me on Twitter. My next conference is probably before the podcast goes out, so that'll be in September. I am presenting in a summit in the World Cup, but that's in Dubai, so that's probably not accessible.
Wow.
Yeah, so
you got invitation from.
Yeah, so
I mean, I'm not saying
Twitter, you can access it if you Google me. Sometimes some of the podcasts that I've done, other places have come up. But yeah, that's not really. I don't really know where they can see me, to be honest. But if they Google, I'm sure they'll see a lot of the work that's out there anyway.
Yeah, I did it, and I saw that people can see that what you have done for the FA, for the foundation, and also sorry.
Yeah, definitely.
And of course, what for Sheffield as well. Well, I think you shared a lot of information with us. I mean, I made a lot of notes, and not just now, but before on the conference as well.
Yeah.
We actually arrived to the end of this great conversation. I really enjoyed it, and I really appreciate that you come along and you accepted my invitation to this podcast.
No problem.
I hope so that people who listen to this, they're going to have a lot of to take away. And so because you shared a lot of golden nuggets, so I'm really hoping that coaches or team staff who are going to listen to this, or maybe players or athletes from different sports, because their stuff can be implemented to different sports as well. I believe so. I mean, breathing, yoga, visualization, gratitude, gratification, whatever. So,
Yep. For definite.
yeah. So, sorry?
I says for definite it can. Yes, for definite. Transfer comes to the sports and in everyday life.
Sure. So I just wanted to say a huge thank you for your precious time. Thank you for being here with us, and thank you for sharing your valuable information with my audience. We're going to try to translate somehow to Hungarian, to not just to reach the audience in Hungary who speaks English, but also those who don't. So I'm hoping in that case to make sure that to more people can listen to it and more people can have access for those information that you shared with us. So again, Sally, thank you very much being here with us. Please stay with me for a few minutes after we're going to hang up this call. And for the listeners or for the people who will listen us, thank you also being here with us tonight. Hopefully you enjoyed it. It's going to be played on the 17th of October, and you can listen it on the official channel of Gamechangers, which is Sorsforditok in Hungarian, and also you can listen it on the Hungarian. That you can listen it on the SoundCloud official Sorsforditok SoundCloud channel as well. It's going to be available on the day of 17th of October. So thank you guys for being here with us. Thank you, Sally.
Thank you, Sabi. Thanks for the invite.
In the next episode.